Hello everyone, my name's Henry and welcome to another Adobe Add-Ons Showcase. So it's been a while, two reasons for that. Number one, I've done a bit of an audio upgrade. I hope you guys kind of notice. It's not the microphone but more the mixer slash preamp. I've kind of changed over to Focusrite because they're generally better and I'm pretty excited. I think it sounds better. Tell me in the comments what you think if you're interested in that sort of stuff, I guess. And the other reason, it's been a lot shit's been happening, but here I am doing another add-on showcase, kind of doing three. So we're back with something from Dr. Wohoo. You might remember me doing Color Lifter in Photoshop quite a few months back in 2016. Now this time I'm again doing Color Lifter, sort of. It's not the main focus of the video, but I'll be glancing over it. Now you'll notice I'm in Illustrator. And that was actually a little bit of a fact that I didn't mention when I did my add-on showcase on Color Lifter, which was that I was also in Illustrator extension, or maybe I mentioned it and I just forgot just now. We're also going to be taking a look at Color Sorter and the Randomizer, because the thing is, all these three extensions and what I'm going to be showing you guys today can be used together. So that's sort of what I'm going to be doing today. So Color Lifter, for those who saw that video, which if you want me to go through this extension thoroughly, then I'd recommend you check out that video. Even if it is for Photoshop, it's the exact same interface and it works the exact same, so it doesn't really matter. But for those who don't know what it does, it basically pulls colors from images. Now at this point, some of you might mention, what about Adobe Color? Well, this pulls a lot more color from that image than what Adobe Color does. So let me just show you. So let's do this. I ended up going on, I went to my photo library and I got this nice HDR image of tomatoes. So we're gonna use that because tomatoes are nice. And I am going to go ahead and just draw a path over here. So what that'll do is it'll make us these segments of color. Now it's certainly set to 10. Now I prefer to have even more because we want a lot of colors out of this. I'm going to set that down to less and it's going to take some time. And there we go. Now I set it to have 3. That's going to be the actual length for each segment. So now we've got a distance of 3, which gives us a lot of different colors. And then we can sort them. Now in my case, I'm actually not going to sort them. So now I'm going to go ahead and press the button right here, which saves these colors to the swatch panel. And if I now go ahead and open that swatch panel, which I'll notice that because of things I've done earlier, that isn't currently open. We'll find it in the Windows menu. And what you'll notice here is that all our colors, as you can see, have been put here at the end. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to select all of them, press Shift, and then to make things easier, normally I'd say just make a new color group, but again, we skipped the sorting, and that's because we're going to be doing that in the Color Sorter plugin. So this is pretty simple. Simply select your swatches and then make a group. I'm going to call them my swatches. Or actually, no, let's call them test swatches. Let's do that, and then you select them, and then enter Color Sorter. Whoops. And you notice I pressed that button in the middle and it's now grabbed all those swatches. I believe you can do it without having it in a group as well, but you know, it's just easier. And now you can choose whether or not you want them sorted through hue, saturation, or brightness. Now the advantage of seeing it this way is you can actually see it's already sorted it. As you can see by the way it's displaying these colors. So I generally like to do it by hue because, you know, I like the way it sorts it when you choose hue. But if you're more keen on either saturation or brightness, then you can do that. So then you simply just press the hue text or whatever you chose, and a new group is created called, I believe, hue 0. And if you make another swatch group that you sort using Color Sorter, you can set that to another. It'll get hue 1, or the list goes on. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my old group because I no longer need it, and I don't want to get a clutter of hues, or a clutter of swatches, I mean. So there we are. That's our new color group, and with that we can move on to the final step, the randomizer, which that is a weird scaling issue. That is odd. Okay, there we go. That seems to be fine. That may be because of me changing resolution. I've gone from Retina to 1080p to record this, so that might have screwed with the resolution. But that doesn't matter. So again, I'd recommend you to have these swatches as a flying panel for this, because of the way this works. So at this point, you're going to need some sort of document with a lot of stuff in it, and that's where my first mistake comes in. Luckily, I could see I have already done some swatches here, which is nice. So The way this works is, so I've got this military background thing here that I stole, or didn't steal. I purchased this through Adobe Stock. I've been using Adobe Stock a lot recently. It's an incredibly useful service. So I got this image from Adobe Stock through one of my 10 monthly images. So I got this, which is like this camouflage, military camouflage, and the advantage of doing that is now I have an object with a lot of different paths on it. So now I can choose link objects right here, and it'll find 2,499 objects. That's a lot of things to color, because that's what the randomizer does. It applies random colors of your choosing to a whole bunch of objects. So having a document like this is really useful. So as you can see, it even specifies what types of objects it finds. So it can either find groups, paths, compound paths, and you'll also notice that it'll recognize text and symbols, but they're both unsupported, and I believe that's because of an Illustrator limitation more than anything else. Hopefully he'll find a way around it, and we'll see that in a future update, or maybe we won't. I guess ask the creator. Or if I get anything news on that, I'll make sure to tell you guys in the description, or maybe even in the comments, because obviously I want you guys to be as up to date as possible. So once you've selected your objects, you can move on to the swatches. And currently it's recognized my swatches, but I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So link swatches. And yeah, so it's 83 swatches. And it specifies that it's 83 SMIC colors. So you could have RGB colors, pattern color, gradient colors, spot colors, lab colors, and gray colors, all depending on what sort of color system or whatever way you have your colors in your swatch panel. Because as you know, the swatch panel can have a lot. And the interesting part is how it can have gradient colors, because gradients are really powerful and kind of hold more than one color. So that can definitely be used if you're interested. Again, this is one of those plugins that it's just, you know, after you've sort of been shown the ropes, it might be a good idea to just experiment and see what you can make with it. So if you get this extension after watching this video, I highly recommend you to just toy with it for a few hours, just to figure out like sort of what makes it tick and how cool, what sort of cool stuff you can make with this. Next step is to just press the randomize button, and then you can choose whether or not you want it to just affect the fill color, the stroke color, and the stroke thickness, which will randomize the thickness of the stroke of every object. That way you can get some really interesting designs. Now, generally, I haven't actually put on stroke thickness. I put it on stroke color when I did it. Now, the thing to note here is, as it even notes at the bottom, woohoo, with 2,499 selected objects, you might want to take a walk after clicking the button below. I personally did that because that took a while, so I actually went down with the trash while it happened, and that was enough time for it to be finished. So, because of that, to save me and you some time, although I could just edit, I've already done this with somewhat of a similar color group to this in this document right here. So this is what I actually ended up with once I did this. I ended up with this. So this is the same, pretty much the same swatches that I used to see in the swatches panel right here. And you'll notice that it's added the same thickness on all the, on all the strokes, but they are different colors, as well as the fill color is different. And it's pretty smart about how it does this, because it doesn't usually have the same stroke color as it has the fill color. So it'll always be different between those two. And the more colors you have, the less the chance of two objects next to each other having the same color. You notice these two do have pretty much the same color right next to each other. There we go. A little bit hard to select these objects, they're so small. And as you can see, what it's made here from going from this desert stuff to this is quite literally some pretty beautiful sort of art stuff. And you can do way more complicated stuff with this. And you can be more selective or less selective with your colors and just see what you get. So I've gotten something really bright and sort of warm colored stuff here, which looks really cool. And then there's the last part of the randomizer panel, which is the export panel. So here you can, you plan to save, as you can see here, you can export. So you can batch export several. So at this point, you only randomized it one to see sort of what results you can get. If you go here, you can save, say here, 34 files, which means 8,466. I can't even read out that number. Yeah, derp, too late at night, I guess. And what that'll do is, it'll do it once more, it'll randomize it like this, until it'll do this randomization. That was annoying, go away, low power mode. It'll do this over again, 34 times, randomizing it over and over and over and over again, 35 times, thus giving you 34 different alternatives. Or just, you know, if you want to make like a kind of art collection like this in just different vivid colors, that's the way to go. And you can choose between, or not even choose between, you can have both or just one of them, either PNG or Illustrator. Funnily enough, you can also have none of them. I don't see why you would have none of them. So if you want the editability, Illustrator. If you just want to be able to easily distribute them around, PNG. Maybe you want both. If you choose PNG, it's probably going to take up a lot of space, and it's also going to take a long. Like, as it says, let this run overnight, question mark. It's 34 files, it's going to take a while. Like, grocery shopping time. So you'll see here it gives you sort of an estimate of how long it's going to take for it to do this. Like, it's either going to be grocery shopping time or let this run overnight. I like these sort of rough estimates of how long it's going to take. Not giving you actual numbers, because that's never correct. Instead, giving you rough estimates that you can actually, like actual practical references to how long it's going to take. Now, if you just want to export one, like this one that I made here, for example, you'd obviously just use the normal export or just save as functionality of Illustrator. So all in all, that's it for all these 3 awesome Dr. Wohoo plugins. In other words, that's been Color Lifter, which I've taken a look at before. So again, if you're interested in seeing more on Color Lifter, I have a completely separate review of that. There's probably been 2 or 3 cards now. You know, those fancy little information things in the corner of the video that has told you about that. There's also Color Sorter. I haven't done a separate video on that. It's relatively simple, which is why I've just sort of integrated into this. And then there's the new kid on the block, which is probably the most exciting of them all, the Randomizer. So as the time of making this video, there is currently a really hot smoking deal where you can get all 3 of these extensions in a awesome bundle. And as well as that, I also have affiliate links for Dr. Wohoo's website in the description, so that when you actually purchase these extensions through that link, you'll actually be supporting me as well in the process, which I'd appreciate a lot. I'll make sure to, in case they exist, I haven't actually checked this, if there are, as per usual, Creative Market links or Adobe Add-Ons Store links, I'll make sure to also have those in the description. Anyway, to download it, and you'll get it from the description. Although I personally recommend doing it from the Dr. Wohoo store, because that's where you'll save the most amount of money. And again, you'll be able to support me without just, you know, especially if you're using ad block, you know, I can't blame you for using it. Ads are annoying. So if you want to support me in any other way, then using those affiliate links is the best way to go. The same goes for my Creative Market links also being affiliate links. All that said, thank you for watching this video. Again, if you're interested in more Adobe Add-on Showcases, I hopefully have a lot more coming. I also have some other interesting Adobe-related content coming up. I hope to be doing a lot more experimentational content this very year. And, you know, just generally stay tuned if you want more content like this. I've been Henry, and I'll see you in the next video that I make on this channel.